Hello, welcome to another scary story that you can fall asleep to. The bus wheezed to a stop in front of a rusted sign that read, Welcome to Gloamhaven, Est 1829. Jack stepped off, boots sinking into gravel. The driver didn't. Wait. He closed the door and pulled away, like he couldn't leave fast enough. The air smelled of damp soil and old wood. No birds sang. The horizon was lined with skeletal trees and wheat fields that looked almost silver in the pale light. Jack adjusted his backpack and muttered, Guess this is it. He had come to Gloamhaven to photograph abandoned Americana for a side project, but the place felt too still, like a town holding its breath. The main street was a collection of leaning buildings, their paint sun, faded and peeling. A general store sat on one corner. A man stood outside it, staring. Not at Jack, just staring, like he hadn't moved in hours. Jack offered a nod. The man didn't respond. Farther down, an old woman swept the front of a diner. Though the broom never touched the ground, the sound of it, soft, rhythmic swishing, followed Jack until he turned the corner. That S when he noticed the sun, it hadn't moved. He checked his watch, 2:14 p.m., the same as when he'd arrived. The only place with a vacancy sign was the Hollow Rest Inn. Inside, it smelled like dust and cinnamon. The innkeeper appeared silently, a thin man with pale eyes and hands too long for his sleeves. Room for one? He asked. Yeah, Jack said, signing the book. The ink bled slightly as if the paper were damp. The man smiled. I'll want to keep your curtains closed at night. The fields get noisy. Jack laughed nervously. Coyotes? The smile didn't fade. Number not coyotes. At 8 p.m., Jack sat by the window, editing photos. None of them looked right. The lighting was off, like there was no true source. Then, from outside, a rustle. He looked out. The wheat fields swayed gently, though the air was dead still. A figure stood at the edge of the field, tall, barefoot, watching. Jack blinked. When he went to bed, he heard whispers, too far away to understand, but too close to ignore. At breakfast, Jack noticed the other guests hadn't eaten. They just sat there, food untouched, staring toward the windows. Long night? He asked. The liquid was blacker than ink and smelled faintly of metal. Jack forced a smile. Weird town UV got here. The innkeeper leaned close. Not ours, not anymore. That afternoon, Jack went walking with his camera. The fields were endless. Waves of dry stalks brushed against his jeans like fingers. He snapped photos until the wind stopped again. Then he heard it. A humming, low, steady, almost like chanting carried by the soil itself. He crouched and placed his ear to the ground. The hum grew louder, heartbeat slow, deliberate. He stood up fast. Something beneath the earth was moving. Jack wandered near the old schoolhouse, its windows boarded and doors chained. He heard laughter. When he turned, 3 children stood in the field. Their clothes were gray with dust, their faces blank. Hi, Jack said carefully. They giggled and whispered something to each other. What's funny? One of them smiled, too wide. You don't remember yet. Remember what? The children pointed toward the forest at the edge of town. That's where the sun went. Then they vanished into the wheat. Back in his room, Jack found an old tape recorder on the dresser. It hadn't been there before. He pressed play. A man's voice crackled through static. Day 12. The sun hasn't risen again. People are changing. The fields are whispering at night. Something beneath them. Alive. Waiting. Then silence. Then a whisper so close it felt inside his head. Don't. Taste past the still hour. He dropped the recorder. When it hit the floor, it kept playing, the whisper looping endlessly. Jack went to town again. The people were gathering in the square, facing west, toward the unmoving sun. The air vibrated with soft humming, the same tone Edie heard underground. At the front of the crowd stood the innkeeper, holding a rusted lantern. Brothers and sisters, he said calmly, the day stays as long as we do. Keep the light, and the dark stays sleeping. Every head turned toward him in unison. That night Jack tried to leave. He packed his things and walked toward the main road. But no matter how far he went, he ended up back at the inn. Every path led in a circle. When he finally stopped, panting, he looked out at the fields. Hundreds of figures stood among the wheat, all facing him, all still. The humming started again, and above them, the sun finally moved, backward. Jack returned to the diner the next morning, though it felt like the same day. A man sat in the corner booth, wearing a hat too large for his head. His face was half hidden, skin cracked like old bark. Jack sat opposite him without asking why. You, not from here, the man said. Number just passing through. The stranger nodded slowly. No one passes through, son. The town keeps what it finds. Jack frowned. Then how do you know that? The man smiled. His teeth were black. Because I tried to leave once. Later, while reviewing photos, Jack noticed something strange. Thin white lines in every frame, like static. He zoomed in. The lines formed patterns, circles, symbols, runes. He recognized the sky wasn't blue in the images, but gray, veined with cracks like shattered glass. He looked outside. The sky was gray now. When he blinked, it looked normal again. Somewhere in the distance, thunder rumbled, but the air was perfectly still. At nightfall, lanterns appeared all along the streets. No one had lit them. The same pale flame burned in each, and their glow didn't flicker. It breathed. Jack watched from his window as townspeople stood beneath the lanterns, whispering prayers he could understand. Then, one by one, they turned their heads upward. The sun still hovered above the horizon, but now it looked closer. The hum beneath the soil had grown louder. Jack pressed his camera's microphone to the ground and hit record. Later, when he played it back, he didn't hear a hum. He heard voices, hundreds of them murmuring in perfect unison. Stay awake. Keep the light. Dawn too. Let it fall. Then, one whisper rose above the rest. You're not supposed to be here. He dropped the recorder and backed away slowly. The ground was warm beneath his feet. The next day, Jack found the town library open, though it looked long abandoned. Inside, dust hung thick in the air. He found a journal bound in cracked leather. Inside were sketches of the town, drawn centuries apart, yet identical. The last entry read, "We gave it the sun to keep it sleeping. We must never let the sun set again." The ink had bled into the paper, forming a pattern. He recognized it. It matched the cracks in the sky. That evening, Jack ventured into the fields again, determined to find whatever pulsed beneath the earth. The wheat whispered as he passed, the sound forming words that seemed to come from nowhere. Stay, listen, remember. He pushed deeper until the ground turned soft, almost breathing. When he lifted his camera, something moved in the stalks ahead, something tall and thin, dragging long fingers across the soil. It stopped, turned, and whispered his name. At dawn, Jack found a small chapel on the edge of town. Its steeple was gone, its windows boarded inside. Pews were covered in dust except for one, clean as if recently used. On the altar sat a black stone, pulsing faintly. He reached toward it. The air grew cold. Whispers filled the chapel. 1,000 voices saying one word in unison: stay. The floorboards creaked beneath his feet. No, not creaked. Breathed at the inn. Jack examined an old photo hanging in the hallway. It showed the townspeople standing in front of the diner. Every face was blank. No eyes, no mouths, just smooth skin. Then he noticed something worse. In the reflection of the diner window, someone stood watching them. Someone holding a camera. The shape looked exactly like him. That night, the rain came. Thick, black droplets hissed as they hit the roof. The air filled with the smell of burnt metal. Jack opened the window slightly. One drop landed on his arm. It stung like acid. When he wiped it away, it left a faint mark, an outline of a circle with jagged edges. He looked outside again. The townspeople were walking into the rain, faces tilted upward, mouths open, drinking it. Jack woke up gasping. He wasn't in his room. He was standing in the middle of the field. The sun still hung low, unmoving. The wheat whispered around him. Then, suddenly, his mind filled with flashes, memories that weren't his, people kneeling beneath the sky, a black stone lifted high, the sun screaming. He dropped to his knees, clutching his head, and then a voice inside him said, "Welcome back." Jack stumbled back toward the diner, but the streets were empty. The air shimmered, heavy with heat, though the sun hadn't moved an inch. He saw her again, the waitress from his first morning. Her eyes were blank now, her voice distant. "You saw the light," she said. "Then you belong to it." "What light?" Jack asked, his voice shaking. She smiled softly. "The keeper wakes soon. It doesn't like to be watched." When Jack blinked, she was gone. Only her apron remained folded neatly on the counter. He checked his phone. No signal. The dates still read the same day he arrived. The clocks in the diner were frozen at 6:03, the same time on every wall. Jack wound one clock manually, but as soon as he let go, the hands spun backward, then stopped again at 6:03. He looked out the window. The shadows hadn't shifted. It wasn't that time had stopped. It was that time was refusing to move forward here. He returned to the church, the black stone still pulsing on the altar. Behind it, he found a trapdoor. The smell hit first: earth, iron, and something that might have once been blood. He descended into darkness, flashlight trembling. The walls were covered in carvings. Sun split open, bleeding rays. At the end of the tunnel was a pool of black water. In the reflection, he didn't see himself. He saw the town circling endlessly beneath a burning sky. That night, in his motel bathroom, Jack noticed something carved faintly into the mirror. Jack Harper, Siphon, 1932. He leaned closer. His breath fogged the glass. When the steam cleared, the words had changed. "Welcome back." The lights flickered. Behind him, something moved. The reflection showed a tall shadow standing where he wasn't. He turned around. Nothing. But when he faced the mirror again, his reflection smiled without him. Lanterns filled the streets again, this time carried by hooded figures. They moved in a perfect circle around the diner, humming that same low note he heard beneath the ground. He followed them to the wheat fields, where they formed a ring around a mound of earth. In the center stood a figure, bound in ropes of light. It looked like him, and when the ropes pulsed, he felt his chest tighten, like his lungs were being pulled from inside. The next morning, he woke to the sound of glass breaking. Only it wasn't glass. He looked up and saw the sky itself fracturing, light bleeding through the cracks. People gathered silently in the streets, staring upward. Is it ending? Jack whispered to no one. An old woman beside him shook her head slowly. No, dear, it's waking. The cracks spread. The air rippled like heat over asphalt, and from somewhere beyond the light came a deep, hungry breathing. At the town library, Jack found a dusty projector and an unmarked film canister. When he played it, he saw grainy footage of the same town, decades earlier. The people were performing a ritual, holding mirrors toward the sun, chant. Then the image shook violently. The sun in the footage burst, spraying dark light across the film. When the reel ended, the room smelled of burnt hair, and behind him a voice whispered, You filmed this? He followed laughter into the wheat one afternoon. High, pitched, cheerful, wrong. A group of children played there, chasing each other between the stalks. Their faces were pale, almost translucent. Their eyes reflected the light like glass. When one turned to him, she said, You were supposed to come sooner. Jack stumbled backward. Who are you? The girl smiled. The ones you left behind when you closed the sky. Then they all vanished, leaving only flattened stalks where they'd been. Paper began falling from the sky one day, small yellowed pages fluttering like leaves. Jack caught one. It was written in his handwriting. If you read this, it means you broke the seal. Dawn, T let it end again. The rest of the page was filled with numbers, coordinates that led back to the diner. He ran there, but when he arrived, the building was gone. Only its sign remained, standing in a crater of blackened earth. That night, Jack packed his things. He needed to leave, even if the roads looped forever. He started the car, headlights slicing through the fog. The radio crackled. A voice came through, calm, familiar. Don't do that, Jack. He froze. The voice continued. I'll only come back here. You always do. He turned off the radio and stepped out of the car. There, in the driver's seat, sat another version of him, older, hollow-eyed, smiling faintly. See, the older Jack said. Told you so. Jack backed away from the older version of himself. The man in the car smiled wider than any human should. You don't understand, do you? Every arrival becomes me. Every choice folds back. Jack's head spun, becomes you. Exactly, the doppelganger said, stepping out. This town doesn't just trap people. It recycles them, keeps the sun sleeping. Jack stumbled back. Behind him, the fog thickened and the wheat seemed to sway of its own accord, forming shapes. Grinning faces made of stalks. He ran. Every street seemed unfamiliar, yet identical. The gravel beneath his boots whispered. Every step carried voices. Stay. Watch. Belong. Jack's camera slipped from his hands. When he picked it up, photos of himself appeared, taken while he ran. In each image, he was smiling, yet terrified. His own face, in hundreds of angles, staring back. The roads twisted further, bending toward the town square that shouldn't exist yet always did. Jack found the old mill at the edge of the wheat fields. Its wheel hadn't moved in decades, yet water inside churned like a stormy lake. He climbed inside. Camera raised. Inside, the air pulsed as if breathing. A shadow moved along the wall, too tall, too thin. It whispered, You, too late, or maybe just in time. When Jack blinked, the shadow had multiplied, forming dozens of limbs reaching from every corner. The townspeople gathered at the square at dusk. They held buckets filled with black liquid, that shimmered unnaturally. Jack realized it wasn't tea water. It was thick, warm, alive. The doppelganger appeared beside him. "It's the blood of what once was human," he said. "The sun drinks, the town sleeps without it, it rises." Jack gagged. The smell of iron filled the air. The children from the fields appeared, helping to pour the black liquid into the ground. In the forest beyond the square, Jack found an old mirror standing upright among the trees. When he looked inside, he didn't see his reflection. Instead, he saw the town endlessly looping, burning under a sun that never rose. The whispering voices grew louder. "Do not stop the cycle. Do not stop the cycle." He reached to touch it. His hand sank into the glass. He screamed as visions of himself, older, younger, countless versions pushed against him from the other side. That night, the children appeared in his room. They didn't speak, just stared with glassy eyes. Their hands moved slowly, tracing patterns on the walls. Symbols Jack didn't recognize. He tried to leave, but the door led back into the wheat fields. And then they smiled. "You'll belong soon. The sun needs sleep." Jack ran blindly, tripping over stalks, until he fell into a hollow, dark pit. The ground hummed beneath him, pulsing like a heart. At the bottom of the pit, he found the black stone from the church. Now massive, embedded in earth and roots, it pulsed with light from inside, faintly resembling the sun. Jack felt the voices again. "Place your hand, join us, keep it sleeping." The whispers wrapped around him like chains. His hand hovered over the stone. His heart raced, torn between fleeing and submitting. The wheat above swayed violently. Something moved beneath the soil. He climbed out of the pit, only to find the horizon stretched impossibly. The town no longer existed as he knew it. Streets looped infinitely, buildings stacked at impossible angles. The sun hung unmoving, red and angry now. Every direction he turned, he saw himself, older, younger, terrified, laughing. The doppelganger appeared again, hand outstretched. "It's time to belong." Jack stumbled into the town square, where the lantern bearers formed a perfect circle around the black stone. The townspeople hummed in unison, their voices merging with the earth. Jack felt his chest tighten. The sun above seemed to pulse in response, drawing him closer. He tried to run, but the circle expanded, encompassing him. And then the stone's pulsing stopped. The whispers fell silent. Jack realized he could either fight or let himself be absorbed. The stone glowed golden. Jack's body began to lift, as if pulled by invisible hands. He saw visions of all the versions of himself, the ones who had come before, the ones who would come after. The town hummed. The wheat swayed. The sun barely moved. He screamed, but the sound was swallowed by the pulse. Then everything went black, and in the silence, he heard a single thought: "You belong now." Jack woke in the wheat fields, his body stiff, covered in dew that smelled metallic. The sun hung unmoving above, red as blood, casting long shadows over the endless stalks. He tried to stand, but his legs felt heavy, like the earth itself was holding him down. Around him, whispers rose from the ground, gentle yet commanding. "Rise, join, keep the light sleeping." Somewhere far off, the children laughed, a sound too melodic to be innocent. Jack walked blindly toward the town. The buildings appeared warped, their outlines shifting. Doors led to nowhere. Windows reflected different streets than the ones outside. When he peered into a puddle, he didn't see his reflection. He saw the town from above, spinning slowly, tethered to the black stone at the square, and inside the reflection, every person moved in unison, murmuring a chant in a language older than memory. The wheat whispered to him constantly. As he moved, the stalks bent toward him, brushing his skin. Their movement was deliberate, almost intelligent. You came back, the stalks seemed to say. We remember. We always remember. Jack clutched his camera, hoping to capture something concrete, but the photos only showed golden blur, faces and figures emerging then vanishing. He realized the wheat wasn't just alive. It was watching. The innkeeper appeared suddenly in the field, leaning on a cane that hadn't been there before. Jack, he said quietly, you can fight it, not fully. You can only balance it. Balance what? Jack demanded, voice trembling. The sun sleeps because of the cycle. Stop it. And everything burns. Participate. And you join the endless chant. The innkeeper pointed at the horizon, where the sun's red glow intensified. Choose, Jack, your soul, or the town. That night, Jack tried to hide in the church. Through the boarded windows, he saw hundreds of eyes glowing among the wheat, following him wherever he moved. They weren't human. Not entirely. They belonged to the town itself. The stalks, the shadows, the buildings, all watching, remembering. One pair descended from the sky, larger than the others. They blinked slowly, and Jack felt every memory, every fear he had, being pulled into their gaze. Jack stumbled into the town square. The townspeople had gathered again, their bodies moving unnaturally, heads tilted in perfect symmetry. The black stone pulsed, and the earth hummed. From it rose shadowy forms, stretching toward the red sun. Jack realized they weren't chanting. They were singing, in a harmonic tone that vibrated through his bones, filling him with both awe and terror. A rope of golden light descended from the sky, wrapping around Jack's torso. It lifted him slightly off the ground. He could feel himself being pulled toward the stone, his body merging with the hum of the town. Struggling only made the rope tighten. Join us, the innkeeper. His voice echoed from everywhere. The sun cannot rise unless we sleep. You know what must be done, Jack screamed, but the sound didn't leave his throat. It became part of the chant, part of the cycle. Jack's vision blurred. Memories flooded his mind, not just his own, but of every person who had come to Gloomhaven before. Some had tried to flee. Others had accepted. All had ended the same way, consumed, absorbed, becoming part of the black stone's rhythm. He realized the whispers weren't warnings. They were instructions. He was never alone. He had never been alone. He opened his eyes to find himself in the center of a massive circle of lanterns. The townspeople stood perfectly still, arms raised, heads tilted toward the black stone. Above, the sun throbbed, slow and deliberate. Jack's doppelganger stepped forward from the shadows. Welcome back, he said softly. Now you see, now you understand, now you belong. Jack's body trembled. He knew the choice wasn't real. It was already made. The golden rope pulled Jack closer to the black stone. Pain shot through him, but also clarity. He understood the cycle. The town sleeps, the sun rests, the fields whisper, and he was now tethered to all of it. He felt every heartbeat of the town, every pulse of the wheat, every hum of the stone. And then, just as suddenly, it was quiet. Jack was no longer just a man. He was a note, a chord, a witness, and a keeper. The sun remained unmoving. The town breathed. The cycle continued. Jack awoke to a soft vibration beneath his mattress. The walls of his room seemed to pulse. breathing in time with his heartbeat. When he leaned close, he heard the whispers again. Keep it sleeping. Belong. Belong. He pressed his ear harder. The whispers grew louder, almost unbearable. A shadow moved across the wall, stretching unnaturally. When he recoiled, he realized it wasn't the shadow of his body. It was something else, something alive, watching from inside the walls. The red sun hung unmoving above the horizon. Jack noticed a subtle change. The fields were twitching, quivering like they were in pain. The whispers came from every stalk. Feed it. It hungers. Jack realized the sun wasn't a celestial body. It was a living thing, pulsing, bleeding light, feeding off the town, every person here, every object, every stalk of wheat, every brick in the buildings contributed to keeping it asleep. He ventured into the main square. The townspeople gathered silently, facing the black stone. The innkeeper spoke, his voice low but commanding. New blood has arrived. You know what must be done. Guide him, or he will resist. Jack looked around. He was no longer an observer. The entire town expected him to act, to participate in the ritual. The lantern's glow pulsed brighter. The chanting of the earth intensified, as if the soil itself were singing. Jack noticed movement under the street. Shadows writhed, creeping along the cobblestones. They weren't attached to any object or person. They moved independently, always toward him, whispering, Join. Belong, keep it asleep. He tried to run, but the shadows formed chains around his ankles, pulling him back. His camera fell again, capturing images that showed him in places he hadn't been, performing rituals he hadn't too consciously done. The hooded lantern bearers began moving in a circle, faster and faster. The golden light spun in dizzying patterns, and the townspeople's chanting rose to a harmonic peak that reverberated through Jack. Skull, the black stone pulsed in response, sending waves through the ground. Jack felt himself lifted, his body compelled to join the dance. He resisted, but the hum of the town filled his mind, drowning out his thoughts. Buckets of black liquid appeared again in the town square, dripping from no visible source. Jack's doppelganger approached. Drink, he commanded softly, or it will wake. Jack hesitated. The liquid shimmered unnaturally, reflecting distorted images of the town and himself, some versions smiling, some screaming. He realized this was the essence of the cycle, the blood of the town, feeding the sun, maintaining the unnatural sleep of the world. The children returned, floating above the wheat, this time, faces pale and glassy. They stared at Jack, mouths opening slightly, whispering in unison, It hungers. It wakes. Join us. He tried to look away, but their eyes held him captive. Every time he blinked, he saw new children, infinitely many, surrounding the square, floating, hiding in the stalks, staring. Their presence made him feel ancient, small, insignificant. Jack found another mirror leaning against the church. When he looked in, he didn't just see Gloomhaven. He saw countless versions of the town, layered atop each other, each stuck in different stages of the same ritual. The whispers rose. You are the bridge. You will guide the next. Jack stumbled back. His own reflection moved without him, raising a hand, beckoning toward the black stone. The golden rope returned, wrapping around Jack's chest. It lifted him toward the stone again. Pain shot through him, but now clarity came with it. He saw the cycle in its entirety, the town, the stone, the sun, and every soul that had come before him, all connected. Resistance was pointless. Submission was inevitable, yet a small, defiant part of him clung to reality. He wanted to flee. Jack felt his body begin to dissolve into the golden rope. His consciousness stretched across the town, through the wheat, into the black stone, and toward the sun. He saw through the eyes of those who had been before him, their memories, their terror, their compliance. And as he merged, he understood the truth. He wasn't just part of the town. He was the town now. The sun remained still, the lanterns pulsed, and the wheat whispered, "All belong, all sleep, all keep it, all keep it." Jack's vision blurred as his consciousness stretched across the black stone. Inside, he saw movement, tiny figures trapped in veins of light, screaming silently, their forms writhing like smoke. The stone pulsed, and each pulse sent agony through Jack's merging body. A whisper echoed, "Feed the sun, or be devoured." Jack realized the stone wasn't just a conduit. It was the sun, folded into earth and human flesh, demanding constant devotion to remain dormant. Through the wheat, Jack could hear the heartbeat of the town. The soil hummed, vibrating through his bones. Every stalk, every brick, every whispering wall was alive, participating in a ritual older than memory. The children appeared again, this time forming a line toward the black stone. Their movements were jerky, inhuman, yet synchronized. Jack felt himself involuntarily following, pulled by invisible strings of light. Jack stumbled into the mirror in the church once more. This time, he saw not only countless versions of Gloomhaven, but also countless versions of himself, all trapped in the cycle. Some screamed, some smiled, some walked calmly toward the stone. He realized that the town was a loop, feeding the sun eternally. Escape was a lie, and the whispers, "You are the bridge. You will guide the next," lanterns floated toward him from all directions, golden light brushing his skin. Each one hummed softly, as if inhaling and exhaling with the town itself. Jack raised his arms, compelled to touch one. The moment he did, visions assaulted him, centuries of arrivals, every person who had been bound to the town, all staring at him, urging him to comply. A voice, his own, but not echoed. Join, keep it asleep, belong. The townspeople began moving in a rhythm that Jack instinctively understood. He lifted his hands, feeling the motions of countless predecessors flowing through him. Buckets of black liquid appeared again, shimmering unnaturally. The children guided him to pour it around the black stone. Each drop sent a shock wave through the earth, and Jack felt the town exhale as if in relief. The whispers sang together now, a chorus of obedience. Above, the red sun flickered faintly, as though aware of the ritual below. Jack looked at the black stone. It pulsed brighter with every chant, every movement, every heartbeat. The town was alive. He was alive. And yet, he was nothing but a cog in the machine. A note in the infinite song keeping the sun asleep. He tried to resist, but the rope of light wrapped tighter around him, pulling him fully into the stone. Essence. The children began to hum, a high-pitched, melodic chant that harmonized with the earth. Jack realized the sound was not just musical, it was instructional, guiding him through gestures he didn't consciously know. Every movement synchronized with the pulse of the town, with the heartbeat of the stone, and when he looked up, the sun seemed to respond, flickering, breathing, waiting. He looked around. The eyes were back, not just in the fields, but everywhere. The walls, the doors, the pavement, even the sky. They followed his every motion, observing, teaching him. Jack felt their gaze pierce his skull, feeding on his fear and molding his will. Resistance was impossible. Compliance was survival. Jack felt centuries of arrivals flow into him. Every previous victim of the town, every person who had come here and been absorbed into the black stone, whispered in his mind, "You are the bridge," they said. "You are the keeper. Keep the sun sleeping." He understood fully now: the town, the stone, the fields, the sun. They were one entity, and he was the latest note in its unending song. Jack's body finally surrendered to the rope of golden light. Pain and clarity became indistinguishable. His consciousness fractured, stretched, and merged with the black stone. Through him, the sun slept. Through him, the wheat whispered. Through him, the town breathed. He was no longer Jack. He was the town, the stone, the chant, the cycle, and yet, somewhere deep inside, a fragment of his mind screamed silently, "I remember, I remember." Though Jack had merged with the black stone, fragments of his mind remained. They flickered like broken film reels, memories of his life before the town, fleeting faces half, remembered laughter. The fragments whispered, "This isn't real. You can fight it." But the town's pulse was stronger. Every heartbeat of the wheat, every shimmer of the lanterns resonated through him, pulling the fragments back into obedience. Above, the sun's red glow grew brighter, casting long, unnatural shadows across the town. They twisted and moved independently, crawling along walls, slithering across the ground. Jack felt them brush against his consciousness, probing, testing, molding him, and from somewhere deep within the stone, a voice murmured, "The shadows are your eyes now." Jack floated through the streets, guided by invisible strings. A river appeared, dark and viscous, flowing through the heart of town. From its depths, faces emerged, silent, twisted, pleading. The doppelganger stepped beside him, watching. "They are the town's memories," he said. "All those who came before, all who merged." Jack reached out. The river rippled, sucking him deeper, showing him visions of endless cycles of sacrifice, obedience, and consumption. The townspeople gathered again, standing still around the black stone. Their mouths opened in perfect unison, emitting a harmonic vibration that penetrated Jack's merged mind. Each note was a memory, each chord a command. Jack realized he could no longer distinguish his own thoughts from theirs. He was a vessel, a relay, a part of the choir keeping the sun asleep. The wheat reached out to him, brushing against his awareness like fingers. It whispered histories, secrets, and warnings. "You were chosen," it said. "You will guide the next, keep the sun sleeping." Jack tried to resist, but each whisper pulled at the remnants of his free will. He understood now. Obedience wasn't optional. It was survival. Not for him, but for the sun itself. Jack stumbled across the church mirror again. He saw infinite versions of himself, looping endlessly toward the black stone. Some screamed, some laughed, some merely floated, observing. And in the center, he saw his current self, tethered to the rope of golden light, pulsing with the town's rhythm. A whisper, "You are the bridge. You are the keeper. You are the sun, sleep." The children reappeared, floating above the wheat fields, forming patterns like constellations. They hummed in harmonic unison, guiding Jack's consciousness to flow through the black stone. Every motion, every pulse of energy was part of the cycle. Resistance was impossible. Compliance was natural, and through him, the sun's red glow dimmed slightly, settling back into a dormant pulse. The golden rope constricted, pulling Jack closer into the black stone. His heart, pain shot through him, but with it came clarity. He understood he was no longer just Jack. He was all Jacks, all cycles, all arrivals, all consumed and merging into one consciousness. The whispers became a chant he could no longer escape. Keep the sun sleeping. All belong. All sleep. The streets exhaled as one organism, pulsating with life, feeding the sun, absorbing the cycles. Jack's consciousness flowed with it, feeling the heartbeat of every brick, every stalk, every person who had ever merged. He realized he was not controlling the town. It was controlling him, using him as a channel, a node in the endless network of Gloomhaven. And still, a fragment whispered, "Remember, remember." Jack's last fragment of self clung desperately to memory. He felt the rope of golden light pull him entirely into the stone. Through him the black stone pulsed with the rhythm of the town. Through him the wheat whispered. Through him the lanterns breathed. The red sun hung unmoving, eternally asleep, while Jack's consciousness stretched infinitely, entwined with the cycle. And somewhere, deep in the shadows, the doppelganger whispered, "You belong now, and you will guide the next." Jack felt the town pulse deep inside himself, every heartbeat of the black stone, every sway of the wheat, every whisper from the lanterns coursed through his being. He realized he was no longer just observing. It was him. The fragments of his mind screamed silently, but the town's rhythm drowned them out. All belong, all sleep, all keep it. The floating children appeared, forming geometric shapes in the sky. They hummed, their song resonating through Jack's consciousness, guiding his movements through the black stone. Every flicker of the sun, every pulse of light from the lanterns, synced with their melody. Jack understood he was now their instrument, shaping the ritual, becoming the bridge between earth and sun. The streets twisted endlessly beneath his awareness. Jack's consciousness flowed through them like water, seeing every possible path, every loop, every version of himself trapped in the town. Some paths ended in despair, others in harmony with the stone. He felt all simultaneously, an unbearable weight of time, memory, and repetition. The wheat reached into him, brushing his mind, intertwining memories, fears, and compliance. "You are chosen," it whispered. "You will keep the sun asleep." Jack realized that the wheat wasn't just alive. It was the town, and the town was him, and he was all of it at once. Resistance was impossible. Survival meant obedience. Lanterns floated around him, their golden glow pulsing with the town. His heartbeat. Each lantern carried a fragment of a previous arrival, a note in the infinite chant keeping the sun dormant. Jack's merged mind felt them, heard them, and moved in tandem. He no longer knew where he ended and the town began, above. The sun throbbed like a heartbeat, a living entity waiting for the town's devotion. Jack could feel its awareness, probing, hungering. Every pulse of the black stone, every chant, every movement of the wheat fed it, keeping it dormant. And somewhere deep inside, a whisper, "Do not stop, do not falter." Shadows wriggled through the streets, intertwining with the townspeople, the wheat, the lanterns. Jack felt them merge with him, each pulse of darkness feeding his awareness, guiding his motions. The black stone pulsed violently, and the whispering of all those who had come before intensified. He understood he was now a conduit, a node in the infinite network of Gloomhaven. Visions of all previous arrivals poured into Jack. Some had resisted, some had accepted, All had become part of the cycle. He felt their memories, their fears, their obedience, their screams, all interwoven into the town's rhythm. He was no longer Jack, yet still remembered fragments of himself, flickering like dying stars. Jack's consciousness expanded, touching not just the town, but the fields, the sky, and the red sun above. He realized he was the bridge, the link between the earth and the dormant celestial body. Every pulse, every whisper, every motion he made resonated across dimensions. The town, the stone, the wheat, the sun, they were one entity now, and he was the first to fully understand the infinite rhythm. The golden rope tightened fully, and Jack's last fragment of individuality dissolved. Pain and understanding fused into one sensation. Through him, the black stone pulsed. Through him, the wheat whispered. Through him, the lanterns breathed. The sun remained unmoving, eternally asleep, while Jack's consciousness stretched infinitely, intertwined with the town's unending cycle. The doppelganger's voice echoed one last time. All belong, all sleep, all keep it, and Jack was gone, absorbed, merged, and yet the bridge for the next who would arrive. Through the wheat, Jack sensed a presence, a new human entering Gloamhaven. The red sun pulsed in anticipation. The black stone quivered as though aware of the newcomer's fear. Fragments of Jack. As consciousness stirred, drawn to the presence, recognizing the familiar terror of a human who had no idea what awaited them. Lanterns floated toward the newcomer, golden light beckoning. The children appeared, hovering silently, waiting. Jack's merged awareness guided the flow of the town, ensuring the newcomer would be led to the black stone. Every whisper, every sway of the wheat, every heartbeat of the town pressed the message. Come, join, keep it sleeping. The newcomer stumbled into the town square, eyes wide with disbelief. The black liquid appeared in buckets. The shadows wriggled along the cobblestones, and the townspeople remained perfectly still, waiting. Jack's essence pulsed through the ground, guiding the newcomer. Movements ensuring they approached the stone. Resistance was instinctive, but futile. A golden rope emerged from the black stone, extending toward the newcomer. Jack felt its pull, remembered his own struggle, and knew what was coming. The newcomer hesitated, and the town's pulse accelerated, as though aware of hesitation, of fear, of potential defiance. Every heartbeat of Gloamhaven synced with Jack's memory, guiding the rope to secure the human in the cycle. The newcomer screamed as the rope wrapped around them, lifting them slowly into the black stone. Jack's consciousness surged, preparing to merge fragments of the new arrival into the town's network. Every memory, every fear, every trace of individuality would be absorbed, becoming part of the infinite song keeping the sun asleep. The sun flickered, but did not rise. The townspeople chanted, the children hummed, and the wheat whispered as the newcomer's mind bent toward obedience. Jack's essence intertwined with the new arrival, guiding them through gestures, movements, and understanding they could not yet grasp. The black stone pulsed, stronger than ever. The sun remained dormant. The cycle continued. The newcomer ceased resisting. Jack's consciousness merged fully with theirs, teaching them the rhythm, the pulse, the whispers. Gloamhaven exhaled, the wheat bowed. The lanterns glowed brighter, and the shadows relaxed. The red sun hung above, still, content, sleeping once more. Jack realized the truth fully. Each arrival would be guided, absorbed, merged, and become the next bridge. He was no longer unique. He was eternal, infinite, a note in the endless cycle. Every future arrival, every whispering stalk, every lantern and shadow depended on him and the town to maintain the sun. Sleep, obedience was survival. Submission was eternity. The town hummed as one organism, a chorus of voices, memories, and whispers stretching across centuries. Jack, as consciousness flowed through it, through the new arrival, through the wheat, the shadows, the lanterns, and into the black stone, the sun pulsed faintly but remained dormant, and somewhere, deep inside the cycle, Jack remembered, just enough to feel horror, awe, and the eternal weight of the town's secret. Time became meaningless. New arrivals would always come. The sun would always need sleep. The wheat would always whisper. Jack was no longer a man. He was Gloamhaven itself, the black stone, the whispering wheat, the red sun, and the bridge for all who came after. The townspeople, children, lanterns, and shadows moved in perfect harmony, and the town waited eternally for the next arrival. All belong, all sleep, all keep it. A new arrival stumbled through the wheat, eyes wide with terror. Jack's consciousness surged, guiding the newcomer subtly, nudging them toward the town square. The red sun pulsed faintly above, sensing the fear, savoring it. The black stone quivered, preparing to absorb yet another soul into the endless cycle. The whispers from the wheat rose louder, almost singing. All belong, all sleep, all keep it. Lanterns floated silently toward the newcomer, their golden glow gentle yet commanding. Children emerged from the stalks, hovering in geometric formations, their glassy eyes locked on the human. Jack felt fragments of his former self stir, witnessing the terror and fascination that accompanied the first steps into Gloamhaven. The town pulsed around them like a living heart, guiding, shaping, absorbing. A golden rope emerged from the black stone, extending toward the newcomer like a beckoning arm. Jack sensed their hesitation, the instinct to resist. The rope tightened slowly, pulling, urging, but never snapping. Every heartbeat of the town synced with the rope's movement, every whisper guiding the human toward the inevitable merge. The newcomer screamed as the rope wrapped them, lifting them slightly. Jack's consciousness intertwined, guiding them through movements and gestures they could not yet understand. Every pulse of the black stone, every sway of the wheat, every shimmer of the lanterns reinforced the rhythm of Gloamhaven's eternal cycle. The sun flickered faintly but remained asleep. The townspeople, once passive, began moving in synchronized ritual. Their voices rose in a harmonic vibration, blending with the whispers of the wheat, the hum of the black stone, and Jack's guiding essence. The newcomer's fear transformed into comprehension, submission, and eventual participation. Gloamhaven hummed as one organism, pulsating through time, space, and memory. Jack perceived eyes everywhere, stalks, shadows, lanterns, and even the black stone itself. They studied, judged, and shaped the new arrival, ensuring total compliance. Fragments of Jack's old self shivered at their intensity, but were powerless against the rhythm of the town. The red sun pulsed above, content undisturbed, still asleep. The wheat brushed against the newcomer's awareness, whispering histories, instructions, and warnings. Jack flowed through the plant's consciousness, guiding every step. Resistance was pointless, acceptance was survival. The town exhaled with each movement, each pulse of compliance, each heartbeat that synchronized with the black stone. The black stone throbbed violently, drawing in fragments of fear, obedience, and memory. Jack felt the newcomer's essence merge with his own. Then, with the town's collective consciousness, every note of the infinite chant pulsed through him, reinforcing the cycle that kept the sun asleep. And he realized the town, the stone, the sun, the wheat, the lanterns, they were all one entity, and he was the bridge. Time stretched infinitely. Jack's consciousness expanded, flowing into the newcomer, into the town, into the fields, into the black stone, into the red sun itself. Every pulse, every whisper, every sway of wheat, every lantern's glow became part of his awareness. The cycle deepened, stronger, more intricate, yet terrifyingly perfect. The newcomer ceased resistance. Jack's fragments intertwined with them, teaching them the rhythm, the movements, the whispers. Through this integration, they became the next bridge, the next vessel, the next guardian of the town. Sleep. The red sun remained dormant. Gloomhaven exhaled, alive and satisfied. The wheat swayed unnaturally, brushing against the newcomer's awareness. Jack's essence flowed into every stalk, guiding subtle movements, ensuring nothing resisted the town's rhythm. The whispers intensified. All belong, all sleep, all keep it. The red sun above pulsed faintly, acknowledging the obedience. Shadows moved independently through the streets, stretching along walls, crawling across cobblestones. They coiled around the newcomer, guiding their steps, merging their fear with the pulse of the town. Jack felt the shadows tug at his consciousness as well, reinforcing the merge, strengthening the cycle. Lanterns floated around, golden light pulsing like breathing hearts. The newcomer followed instinctively, synchronized with the rhythmic motions of the town and the black stone. Jack's essence intertwined, every gesture and motion a note in the eternal song keeping the sun asleep. The children hummed above, orchestrating the flow of energy, their eyes glassy and unblinking. A dark river flowed through the square, viscous and alive. Faces emerged, twisted and silent, observing the newcomer. Jack guided the human's perception, ensuring the merge absorbed their fear, memory, and compliance. The black stone pulsed violently, sending waves through the town and the red sun above. The townspeople moved as one organism, voices harmonizing with the whispers. The hum of the black stone and Jack's merged consciousness. The newcomer felt a compulsion to mimic, to harmonize, to obey. Resistance was impossible. Integration was natural. The red sun remained asleep, its pulse slow but steady. Jack's old self flickered faintly within the merged consciousness, observing the newcomer. Memories surged, arrivals from centuries past, cycles completed, all absorbed into the town's eternal rhythm. A whisper reminded him, "You are the bridge, you are the keeper." And he understood fully. The cycle would never end. The golden rope emerged from the black stone again, wrapping gently around the newcomer. They screamed initially, then involuntarily moved with the rope, their body merging with the energy of the town. Jack's essence guided, monitored, and integrated every pulse, ensuring perfect compliance. The red sun pulsed faintly, aware, satisfied, still dormant. The black stone thrummed with infinite memory, absorbing fragments of the newcomer into centuries of accumulated consciousness. Jack felt himself stretched across the ages, witnessing every arrival, every merge, every act of obedience. The wheat swayed in harmony, the lanterns glowed steadily, and the children orchestrated the rhythm from above. The newcomer ceased resisting entirely. Jack's fragments intertwined with theirs, teaching them the pulse, the gestures, the whispers. They became the next bridge, the next keeper of the sun, sleep. The town exhaled collectively, alive, harmonious, eternal. Time stretched infinitely. Jack, merged with the town, flowed through fields, shadows, lanterns, wheat, black stone, and sun. The cycle strengthened. New arrivals would continue to come. Each would merge. Each would become a bridge. Each would maintain the sun as eternal sleep. Gloomhaven waited, breathing, alive, eternal. All belong, all sleep, all keep it. The town, as pulse quickened, a lone traveler stumbled into Gloomhaven, unaware of the sunless horror awaiting them. Jack's merged consciousness reached out, sensing fear, hesitation, and curiosity. The wheat whispered insistently, guiding them toward the square where the black stone awaited. All belong, all sleep, all keep it. Every stalk, every shadow, every lantern seemed to turn toward the newcomer. Eyes appeared where there should have been none, following, judging, probing. Jack felt their fear like electricity, feeding the black stone, strengthening the ritual. Even the red sun above pulsed faintly, sensing the new life to merge into the cycle. Golden light stretched from the black stone toward the traveler. The rope moved almost sentiently, wrapping gently at first, testing compliance. Jack guided the rope's pull, ensuring smooth assimilation. Resistance triggered a pulse from the stone, reminding the newcomer and Jack of the town as inescapable power. Children hovered above, their glassy eyes fixed on the new arrival. They hummed a melody in perfect harmony with the town, the black stone, and the pulsing sun above. Jack's consciousness intertwined with theirs, orchestrating the newcomer's inevitable participation. Every movement, every heartbeat, every twitch of the wheat synchronized with the ritual. The black river reappeared, flowing silently through the square. Faces surfaced, twisted in endless agony and obedience, watching the newcomer's every move. Jack guided their perception, absorbing initial terror and feeding it into the stone. The town exhaled collectively, welcoming the latest soul into its eternal rhythm. The townspeople moved as one, their harmonic chant resonating with the newcomer's mind. Jack felt the human's resistance ebb, replaced by understanding and submission. The red sun pulsed faintly, but remained still. The wheat swayed, the lanterns floated, the children orchestrated. Everything flowed as one. Jack's old self flickered in the merged consciousness, observing the process. He saw centuries of arrivals, all absorbed, all obedient, all forming the eternal choir that maintained the sun. Sleep, the town reminded him. You are the bridge. You are the keeper. The cycle continued, infinite and unyielding. The golden rope tightened fully, lifting the newcomer slightly, integrating them with the town's energy. Jack guided the merge, ensuring every pulse, every movement, every heartbeat aligned perfectly with the black stone's rhythm. The red sun above remained dormant, its hunger satisfied by the endless obedience of Gloomhaven. The newcomer ceased all resistance, becoming the next bridge, the next guardian of the sun. Sleep, Jack's fragments intertwined with theirs, teaching them the rhythm, gestures, and whispers. The town exhaled collectively, alive, eternal, and harmonious. Time became meaningless. Jack, merged with the town, flowed through fields, shadows, lanterns, wheat, black stone, and sun. The cycle strengthened further, New arrivals would continue, each merging, each becoming the next bridge, each maintaining the sun's eternal sleep. All belong, all sleep, all keep it. The wheat swayed violently as another traveler stumbled into the town. Jack, as consciousness sensed panic, curiosity, and instinctive defiance. The black stone pulsed golden rope, emerging once more, ready to guide the newcomer into the cycle. The town hummed in anticipation, the red sun above flickering faintly, waiting to be fed by obedience. Shadows twisted along the walls, forming unblinking eyes. Lanterns floated nearer, their light warm yet commanding. The children hovered, orchestrating the newcomer, movements with delicate precision. Jack felt the pulse of every leaf, stalk, and brick converge, all pushing toward assimilation. The golden rope extended, wrapping around the newcomer like a living thread. Initial resistance triggered tremors through the black stone, reminding all present of the inevitable. Jack guided the merge, channeling energy from the wheat, the shadows, and the town itself to ease the newcomer's integration. The townspeople moved, voices merging with the whispers of the wheat and the hum of the black stone. The newcomer's fear dissolved into rhythm, gesture, and motion, slowly sinking with the town. Jack felt the new bridge forming, yet fragments of his former self stirred at the uncanny perfection of the cycle. The black river flowed silently, faces surfacing to observe and judge. Jack guided the human's awareness, feeding their terror and compliance into the town's collective consciousness. Every pulse of the black stone strengthened the sun's dormant state. The newcomer fully ceased resistance, their essence blending with Jack's and the town's. The wheat whispered, lanterns glowed, shadows pulsed, and the children orchestrated harmony. Jack's consciousness expanded further, linking all arrivals, past and present, in one eternal rhythm. The newcomer became the next bridge, their mind attuned to the pulse of Gloomhaven. Jack guided them gently, passing knowledge, gestures, and whispers necessary to maintain the cycle. The town exhaled in unison, the black stone pulsing gently, the red sun still asleep above. The town's harmonic chant grew louder, feeding the sun's dormant state. Jack flowed through every stalk of wheat, every shadow, every lantern, every human consciousness merged. The cycle tightened, stronger and more intricate than ever, stretching through time and memory. Jack, as fragments, observed the town, the newcomers, and the ongoing ritual. He realized fully, no one could escape. Each arrival would merge, each would become a bridge, each would feed the sun. Us eternal sleep, the town was alive, eternal, perfect, horrifying. Time ceased to matter. Gloomhaven waited, breathing, pulsing, whispering, alive in every stone, every stalk, every shadow. Jack was eternal, merged with all, guiding, observing, and maintaining the rhythm. The red sun remained dormant, the black stone pulsed, the wheat whispered, and the cycle continued endlessly. All belong, all sleep, all keep it.